In this video, we're going to talk about follow-ups. If you do sustained direct marketing as a voiceover or in any type of business, then the initial reaching out, an introduction of yourself and your skills and what you may be able to offer a potential lead is relatively straightforward. I mean, there's definitely an art to it, but it's about letting them know how you could potentially help and facilitate their work in some way. But a huge question that a lot of people then come to me and ask is, what do I follow up with? Especially if they don't respond. If people do respond, they'll probably come with questions in terms of like, what's your workflow, or how much do you charge? And you've got something to be able to respond and riff off, so you can give more information, ask your own questions, that kind of thing. But when it actually comes to a follow-up correspondence, which can be even more crucial, because it's really in the follow-up that I actually probably build a relationship with the majority of my clients, it can be a bit trickier because you're not responding to anything new. They've not given you any additional kind of stimulus, and that can be tricky. And so what a lot of voiceover artists tend to do is they may double down on their initial sharing of information. Maybe they'll share a different genre of work that they've done, just to show that they've got range to this potential employer. Maybe they'll give some information about marketing more generally. And I think this is where it can get, it can be a bit of a slippery slope, I would say, in terms of if generally as a voiceover artist you're approaching people who work in marketing and then you subsequently start to lecture them about the effectiveness of video or the effectiveness of voiceover for video. As a result, if the people that you're contacting are actually good at their jobs, they'll already know all of this because they operate in that sphere anyway. Obviously, there are going to be exceptions to that rule because you may be dealing with people who are just starting out at various different levels. But still, I would say it can be a bit of a tricky one. You really need to be bringing something a little newer to the table than that. The way I like to think about it is as if someone contacted you, if you are a voiceover artist, and then started randomly telling you about what mic that you should use and how the selection of your preamp is hugely important to your overall audio offering, which, if you're a professional voiceover, you should really know anyway. So that's the risk that I'm talking about. So what I ask then is for you to think of client-centric ways of taking your knowledge base and utilizing that for the people that you contact. This is the whole reason why the first few videos on this YouTube channel are all about people directing voiceover or negotiating voiceover rates, as an example. Or it's another reason why, for example, Mark Scott, wonderful voiceover and voiceover coach, if you go to his YouTube channel, he has both things operating because he's a voiceover coach, and so therefore he has voiceover-centric content going out, and he also has videos for businesses dealing with kind of common questions. And again, he's got that, and they're for different audiences. So just be very clear and conscious about the content that you're creating. If you do choose to make content, and I recommend that you do, not just because, well, video is king, though obviously it all helps, but I think there's that thing about being able to establish a personal connection through a video. You're putting a face as well as a voice to a name, which can be invaluable. But it's really about thinking about things that what problems or questions that a potential client may have that you can address. It's that sort of content that you should really be thinking about creating and supplying, rather than telling someone about how useful voiceover can be for their projects most generally. I mean, that kind of content exists and can be useful sometimes, but just be aware of when it can come across as a bit simplified as well at the same time. That's my overall point. Anyway, I hope you found this of some form of use. If you think these kind of discussions or topics would be more interesting to you, then please do check out my Skillshare course, The Business of Voiceover. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next time.